My dad's girlfriend's family made racist comments about Mexicans at dinner, so my sister and I clapped back in Spanish, and now he wants us to apologize. So my 26F parents split when I was 23 and my sister was 20. They were such a poor match and I'm surprised they lasted as long as they did, and both of us breathed a bit of a sigh of relief when they finally split. Everyone was immediately happier, and since then, both of our parents have found new partners. I've always had a good relationship with my dad, albeit a bit of a strained one. My dad is a fair bit less politically correct than I am, and I am hardly politically correct at all, trust me. He calls things that are stupid or that he doesn't like gay. He uses the word f*** to describe gay people, thinks Hillary Clinton would be a bad president because she'd nuke everyone on her period, and laments that he can't use the N-word in public. He's the epitome of out-of-touch late 50s lily white guy, is what I'm saying. I love my dad, and while these things bother me, there's literally no changing him, so I have to just bear it when I'm hanging out with him. And, an important note is that while my dad says some sexist, homophobic crap, he never does so in public. At the very least, he knows when to keep his opinions to himself and his family. Recently, my dad's been seeing this woman, let's call her Iris. Iris has 2 kids as well, 29M and 27F. I don't really know Iris very well. I met her earlier this year at my dad's place but only very briefly as I was dropping off a few things with my dad. My sister's never met her before, and neither of us has met her kids before. My dad really likes this woman, so he wants all of us, both sets of kids, to get to know each other and the parents so we can all be a blended family. Despite my dad's political incorrectness, he can be adorable sometimes. So dad invited us all out to dinner. My sister's known to be a bit bristly with strangers, so I told her to be on her best behavior, because I want our dad to be happy and I didn't want to offend Iris or her kids. So we sit down and all start trying to get to know each other. My dad chose a Mexican restaurant to take us out to, because it's our whole family's favorite type of restaurant. My mom is Mexican, and growing up we had the most bomb-ass authentic Mexican food all the time. Since my mom and dad split, my dad has been trying to fill the hole my mom's great cooking left in his belly, so to speak, and is a taqueria junkie. Also important to note, me and my sister, despite being half Mexican, have really white skin. We have obviously Mexican features, or at least I think they're obviously Mexican, but everyone always assumes we are of white European descent because of the color of our skin. So we sit down with Iris and her kids, and immediately her kids start complaining. These are grown-ass adults complaining that half of the menu is in Spanish. Next to each thing on the menu was the Spanish name and the English name, and all the descriptions were in English, so it wasn't like an English speaker couldn't read it. I am near fluent in Spanish and my sister speaks passably, and we're both in school to become English second language teachers, but we tried to settle the hair on the backs of our necks and ignore them. We actually managed to have a pleasant convo with them otherwise, until the waiter comes over to get our drink orders. Iris's son snapped at the waiter like a dog to get his attention and take his order first, and her daughter spoke in a highly condescending voice, very slowly, like this man working at a restaurant that caters to big fat white people couldn't understand damn English. Iris was normal, thank God, but when the waiter, bless his jolly soul, he was so kind despite being treated like an idiot by those two, left, her son remarked that he didn't expect the service to be very good. I don't even know if he could understand us. My dad has been to this place before, so he said no, the service here is great, you're going to love this food, I recommend. I can't remember what exactly he recommended. Trying to smooth things over, and then the son says not like I could understand him either with that god-awful accent. These people need to learn English if they want to come to America. Probably an illegal or something. Me and my sister are generally nice, kind people, but no one has ever accused us of being patient or suffering fools silently. So, because we're petty, we just gave each other a look and started speaking only in Spanish to one another for the rest of the night. I felt bad, because Iris looked mortified, but it felt so good to be so petty for the next hour or so through dinner. We of course switched to English to talk to Iris or her kids, but with each other and my dad, who can understand it but not speak it, we spoke the most rapid fluent Spanish we could muster. And at every opportunity my sister would try to mention that we were Mexicans and had grown up in a Hispanic household with our mom and her extended family. Since then, my dad's been texting and calling us, mostly me because I'm usually the ringleader of these sorts of things, begging for us to apologize to Iris's kids for embarrassing them. For embarrassing them? I'm sure my dad didn't know they were going to be so racist towards Mexicans, or else I'm sure he wouldn't have invited them to go out for Mexican food, but I know he doesn't even think what they said was that racist. He said that they could have been worse and there was no need for you to humiliate them and Iris like that. I agree, Iris was lovely, I should have taken her feelings into account, and I have no problem calling or meeting her to apologize for acting so petty and childish, but damn it, I do not want to apologize to racists for pointing out not taking their racism sitting down. Is that so wrong? What should I do? Am I just being petty about this too? I don't want to make my dad unhappy, but I know he's not a good judge of what is and isn't racism, and I don't feel like I should apologize for slapping a couple of racist adult brats down. Update, 9 days later, so, I thought I'd come back to update y'all. My sister and I talked about it with our mom, who has always been much calmer than us. She laughed at us speaking nothing but Spanish, and said she wished she'd been there to see Iris's kids' faces. She did tell us to just apologize though because she knows how our dad can hold grudges over tiny things like this. We didn't really want to do that though. So, I contacted Iris and asked if her and I could meet up for coffee and talk about everything that happened. She was super apologetic when we met for coffee, and said a lot of her kids' funny ideas come from their bio dad, who is a very patriotic Republican. The way she kind of sugarcoated everything about it makes me think maybe she doesn't necessarily think what they did was wrong in general, just that she was sorry my sister and I happen to be part Mexican, and that what they did offended us. Anyway, it was just me and Iris at a Starbucks. My sister wasn't there. She's grown incredibly apathetic to the incident in a very short amount of time. That's just the way she is. And I said I understand everyone's entitled to their opinion, that my dad has some opinions I don't agree with at all too, but that it was rude of them to assume we'd be okay being subjected to their racist remarks and was embarrassing to be seen with racists. Iris was pretty flustered at the term racist, but I didn't back down. Anyway, she was at least reasonable, and apologized again about what happened, and I apologized that we embarrassed her at dinner, and besides some slightly irreversibly ruffled feathers, I think I've at least smoothed things over with her. My dad is another story. He is stubbornly not talking to me until I apologized to his girlfriend's kids. I made my stance clear, that I wouldn't, and if he wanted to act like racism against his kids was okay, then I wouldn't be hanging around him anymore, or God forbid bringing my future mixed kids and his future grandkids around. My sister just sent him a text that said have fun with the racists. She's not good at subtlety. Anyway, that's where things are right now. Not a super good ending but not necessarily a bad ending either.